everybody. Can you see and hear me okay?
Yep.
Very good. Did everyone have a chance to touch the keyboards? Has anyone not? And has everyone looked? Okay, everyone get a chance to have a look at that keyboard if you haven't, because that's the one I'll be talking about, and that one is awesome. Okay. So I'm going to talk to you mostly about keyboard, mostly about mechanical keyboards, but I also wanted to really talk about more of everything that goes around the keyboard. So yeah, I'm a designer at EMC. I built this with latex. This is my first latex presentation, so that's why it looks all retro. All right, yeah, no PowerPoint. So, okay. So we know Vim is awesome, right? That's why we're here. And I'll let this settle in a minute because this is my favorite diagram. And so really, Vim is an investment, right? It is not easy. It takes a lot of time and energy. And I mean, I assume everyone here at some point has had that moment of where they sit down to the computer and go, okay, this is the time. I'm going to learn Vim. I'm going to actually learn it, right? And get over this learning curve, right? And so because it's an investment, right, we're investing in our long-term typing abilities, right? Well, what about everything else, right? We're looking at the quality of the tools we use on a daily basis. And when we're looking at the tools we pick, you may as well pick a small set of really, really good ones and learn them, no matter how much it takes to learn them. So that's what I'll sort of be talking about today. Everything around Vim and sort of the ecosystem you build for your own personal workspace. And so, but before I get to the details of the exact tools I'm going to talk about, how do you pick the tools, right? You can't read this at all, but the slides will be on after, I think. I'll give you the slides after, and you can look at it later. This is my favorite diagram because I'm a designer. On the left, you have beginners, in the middle is intermediate, and on the right is experts. On the beginners have things like, what does the program do? How do I print? Right? Most people, when they're using an application, right, they're intermediate, right? They know how to do the basics. They can get around that sort of thing. They find there's a bunch of different types of tasks that intermediates do, but then they put the program aside, and then eventually they'll come back to it and have to relearn a bit, right? But that's not us. We are experts, right? Our line for this, everyone who uses Vim is an expert because it takes forever to learn. And so you're always learning things like, I'll read them here. How do I automate this? What are the shortcuts for this command? Can this be changed? How can I customize this? This is my favorite. What is dangerous? I don't know what that means, but there you go. And is there a keyboard equivalent? All right. So this is this is from Cooper, About Face, classic design book. And yeah, we're going for expert here with our computer setup, right? We don't want to be beginners or intermediates. So how can we get there? So a couple principles that I thought about in building my own setup is how do we use the same patterns, right? I love the patterns in Vim. I like the way it works mentally, how you can sort of think through commands and the letters sort of work out the same way. And all the information is kept in the mind. So it's another design principle that the more you can keep in your mind, the faster it can be, right? So that's why you see stock traders working on Bloomberg terminals. It's all in their brains, and it's not written in the world. If you walk up to an ATM, right, you don't know anything about this ATM. It's all right there, so you can read it, and everyone's a beginner. So things we'll look at today. You can't read that, but I wrote that in there. It says VI, i3, and Atreus. So these are the three tools, the tool stack that I've settled on most recently. We know about VI and Vim. I'm going to talk about i3 and Atreus, and unfortunately, Linux totally did not work on me today, so I will not be showing you on i3. I'll be showing you on a Mac. But i3 is a tiling window manager. So the window manager, I mentioned it before, it's the thing that handles the way your windows are laid out. i3 is an open source one. There's lots of different ones, right? Mac and Windows, they each just have one, right? One way of managing your windows. You have to drag them around and position them, unless you have some fancy software. But i3 tiles stuff automatically, and has it's open source, and it's configurable just like Vim, and it is awesome. And I'll start just by showing you the kinds of configurations that you can do in it. So this is very much like a Vim config file, right? Your .vimrc, right? You've got key bindings here at the top. So mod, shift, and J is move left, right? That's the mod key is by default the left alt key in i3. And you can read these. So this is I've mapped these to match Vim, so that in my window manager, switching windows is the exact same as in Vim, switching, moving around the cursor. So it's the same mapping. I don't have to relearn anything, and it's really quick because we know it's really quick in Vim. Okay. A few other things that I really love. You can make a shortcut to anything you want in i3. But to note, just because I was going to do a demo at the end, come up to me after and I'll show you i3. It's awesome. I'll give a demo after if you're interested. So you can map custom commands. So I always open Iceweasel, which is Firefox for Linux, and which you can open it with one keystroke. Same for Chromium, right? All these things you can script them in there, so that you don't have to go hunting through menus or doing the tap to get to it. Here's a few other things that I've written in here. I just screen capped a couple of the interesting ones, right? So my laptop, I've bound a button to remap some of the brightness adjustment settings, which were sort of annoying to get to before. Same thing with moving focus around. Again, I'll demo that later. Ignore the demo time. No demo, sorry. So yeah, I was going to show you opening browsers and terminals and generally moving around, and some of how it integrates with custom scripts. But I won't show you that. I'm sorry. A few reasons why i3 is awesome, because you can access stuff real quick, right? You can open things by name. So I think you mentioned the Mac, you can open one keystroke and then start typing the first few letters. Same sort of thing, but in i3 it's built in by default. One keystroke, type in the first couple letters, and then you get the application you're looking for. It integrates, it's super easy to customize, and it handles multiple desktops. So by default there are 10. You can have as many desktops as you want, and with different layouts on each. So you could have one desktop for managing all of your email, another one for coding, another one for browsing the web. That's what I do. So that's i3. Now the part about the keyboard, which is probably the meat of this. So first of all, this is an awesome keyboard, and I want it. But if anyone has this, let me know. I would. Oh man, that's so cool. The monitor is built into the desk. Okay, so the setup matters, right? So like he was talking about if we're looking at our keyboard as an instrument, right, and you're learning technique, so now we're going to sort of look at the instrument itself. So why should I care? So the physical differences between the keyboards are pretty big. So the one thing I'll just toss out there, most of the cheap keyboards you see are like a dome membrane or they have a few different names, but it's a layer of plastic over top of like a sheet that squishes together. And that's how you make real cheap keyboards is you make this sort of cap and dome system. And the cap and dome system, while cheap, it is definitely uncomfortable. You'll see as you strike the keys, you can sort of feel in your joints. These little first fingers here, as you hit the key, you can feel a little bit of a vibration. If you find the right keys for your fingers, you'll notice on mechanical keys it's a lot more comfortable because you won't get those tiny little vibrations from bumping up against the membrane or whatever happens to be underneath your keycaps. A few of the reasons why you're going to care is speed and multiple combinations of keys. So I'll show a bit about combinations in a bit, but the speed of the key, you can press mechanical keys a lot quicker, so you'll actually, some keyboards have a bit of a delay in them even. So the responsiveness of it. And of course the layout ergonomics, if anyone's seen, we'll talk about that in a bit. But this is wild. I didn't know this actually until a few weeks ago, that these are actually equivalent key presses. So these are, the intersection is a key on many cap and dome keyboards. If you push any of those combinations, it's going to see the same. If you push them all at the same time, you're going to get the same mapping. It doesn't know which is which, just because of the way it's laid out. But many mechanical keyboards are specifically wired so that each individual key can be recognized. Fun fact. The actuation on the keys. So this one is a real big one, to me at least. So you can see here I just pulled up some random actuation diagrams. But what this is showing here is as you press the key, the amount of resistance, the springiness is against your, so the amount of force it's taking to push the key down over the trajectory of the key, right? So from all the way up to all the way down, how much pressure is it exerting against your finger? And I mean, I'm sure you've noticed this, just like trying someone else's crappy Windows keyboard that we've got here, right? You go, oh, these keys are so uncomfortable. Well, it's largely because the travel of the key is very different. So when you're playing with the samples here, pay attention and see if you can sort of feel where the force changes as you press the key. And obviously the best one here is layouts. I threw this in there because I didn't think we would actually have samples, but we do have some samples. There are tons of layouts. And for example, like look at this thing. This is awesome. Like you could put your hands right on that. I don't even know what the buttons do, but they look so cool. And that's just so cool. Anyway, that's not my keyboard. Now another big thing about this is Keymaps, right? So on a keyboard, we know what the shift does, right? The shift switches it up to a different character, right? It goes from lowercase to uppercase. Well, you can have any, that's really arbitrary. You can have any number of different layers to switch between, and many mechanical keyboards do support this sort of complex internal mapping. So here are a few different samples I've got. This is from the Atomic keyboard, right? You can see how the keys are mapped somewhat differently. And the ErgoDocs, which some of you might know. This one is the sort of the father of that one, but it's much more expensive and it's split apart. And so this is the one I'm going to talk about briefly today. So this one is the one I've picked. I did a lot of research on these before I sprung for one. It's awesome because you can split it apart, maintain it yourself. It's all open source. It's extremely portable, right? Please go up, pick it up, have a look at it, feel it, give it a shot. And you can change the internal, the way it works. So you can reprogram it to put out anything you want. So it literally is a blank slate if you want it to be. And you can map it to put out, Indian characters or Chinese characters or whatever you would like even. It's not hard-coded like a lot of these keyboards are to American English. So it's really nice in that sense. The layout of the keys, you notice they're in columns. So also called ortholinear in some places. So this, again, it avoids you doing this thing, right, when you're typing, right? This kills. You get Emacs hand after a while. And no, not to make fun of the Emacs people, but you do get it after a while. So yeah, it reduces horizontal travel of the fingers, which over time will kill. So, and again, the layered firmware, so you can have all the different layers of keys on top. So here's the key map for the keyboard I brought, and the way it's currently programmed. Again, there are tons of different variations on this. You can reprogram it any way you like, but you can see that on the bottom, especially right in the center here, Control and Alt. You use those all the time. Those are your thumbs, right? Your thumbs are very powerful. You can go like this really quick and easy, and you can hold them and push other keys simultaneously, right? Same with space and backspace, right? You do those all the time. One goes forward, one goes back. Very logical. But you can see here, actually, if you push and hold the function button, it jumps you up to layer 1, right? So that was layer 0. Now you're pushing and holding function, just like how shift pushes you up into caps. Function pushes you up into, you get the keypad and you get arrow keys. So you don't have to jump for escape. You don't have to jump for the arrow keys. All of those small motions over time, right? Again, thinking long term here, once you learn them, you don't have to move far at all, and you can you can quickly get to anything you need. On top of this, there's another layer which you can toggle up to. These are the rarely used functions, right? So these, you rarely use the F keys. When you know you need them, you just toggle up and you think through where is it. It's that one. So that's what this one is. And last bit here, so this project is really cool. It's all open source, so even the plans for the PCB, even the plans for the case, you can get it laser printed because it's just a laser printed case. Those layers I showed you, you can buy the layers laser printed, I don't know, under $50, I think. In any material you can laser print or laser cut. And the parts list is easy. And the firmware is open source, so you can make of it whatever you like. And that's about it that I had. The last bit is I actually have a key that is needs to be resoldered, so I'm gonna pull it apart. We can look at the inside. I'm gonna resolder that key if you want to watch. And I'll do a demo of i3 because it is awesome. So that's all I have. Okay, left to right.
So how long did it take you to sort of readjust to type on something like that?
Okay.
And what was the process like? Did you just bring it into work one day?
Yeah, well, it's just like Vim, you know. It's like learning Vim 3 times, you know. You have to learn for Vim, you have to learn for the window manager, you have to learn for the keyboard. So honestly, I think I pulled it out and just consciously practiced for a weekend. And then at the end of the weekend, like, I could kind of get around. And during meetings when I had to actually type something, I would switch back to the regular keyboard and then go back and type on this one, you know. It was really awkward for a long time. It took me about a month of like concentrated, I'm going to learn this. And actually I learned I was typing things wrong the whole time. I was typing the C key with, I don't know, one of these fingers wrong because the keyboard is tilted. And so, and your hands go like this, so you end up hitting the wrong key with the wrong finger. That took a while to relearn. And actually, I did notice I did have a bit of pain in my finger. Has gone away.
And how about when you go back and you want to use it?
That is the worst part. You get worse at both. It took me, so month one was just learning that one. Month 2 was, oh my God, what have I done to myself? Month 3 is, okay, I think I could do this now. Maybe I'll do it actually in front of people in meetings. And then month 4, you sort of learn to play both. They're 2 different instruments. You know, you learn the technique of both. So it just takes time, and you get proficient. You know, you kind of switch. It's like switching between a Windows keyboard and a Mac keyboard. You know, you just kind of like, oh, right, I do that with this one. So, there was a question over there, yeah.
So the layout you showed for the Atreus keyboard, is that what they recommend by default, or
Yeah. So this it's actually interesting. There is no default. It comes blank. So you have to make it with whatever you want. So this is one of, I think, maybe 20 layouts that come with default. So I mean, this I picked QWERTY because I know QWERTY, but it comes with Dvorak and it comes with Colmark and all those other wonky ones you want to try out. Someday I'll be brave enough to actually reprogram it and see if I can do something with it. Try and relearn something again. Why not? But yeah, no, this is. I mean, it is the suggest. I think it might be the default when you program it. So I could show that too. The source. It's real easy to compile the source and program it. The instructions are really good on that too. So, yeah. 1, 2, and then 3.
So considering it's hard to now use a regular keyboard, you use this one a lot, is it easy to plug and play a few different computers, like you have to install?
Oh, no, it is so easy. So this is another reason I switched specifically to this one. It's so tiny, and everything is built into it in the firmware. So there's nothing in the computer. It just sends out straight ANSI, I think. And you don't need to reconfigure from Mac or Windows or Linux. So in that sense, it's like the easiest thing in the world. It just works. But switching between this and like this keyboard, again, it's like you have to sort of learn instruments again and again. But you have a question?
Yeah, my concern is being a person who naturally gravitates to Vim, my biggest panic occurs when I have caps lock on and I type U and it does nothing like what I expected.
Yeah.
And I immediately turn caps lock off and do a bunch of control R's.
Yeah.
I think
Yeah.
we all can probably
Yeah.
relate somewhat. So you had a key which switches the context up to 3 levels in one of the slides. Don't you find that with existing keyboards, and maybe, if I'm so wrong, maybe we could take this to Shark Tank and see if Kevin O'Leary has you laughed off the stage or something. I mean, that's the kind of thing he does. Don't you think that if even if when you are going to have mastered this, that not being able to keep that in mind, like where you are, where you got the map, you will type a few things like, oh crap, and then you'll do a whole bunch of U's and control R's. Is that relevant to you? Is that?
Yeah, well, a couple interesting points there. One is that there is no caps lock in this keyboard. You just have to hold Shift. Okay. So no need to remap it to...
what about the other key? The one that...
But yeah, I know what you're saying. Okay. The other key... so the way this actually works, when you push... So function works just like Shift. So as soon as you let it go, you're no longer on the function key. So that's a momentary switch.
Okay.
In order to get, so that's how you get between layer 0 and layer 1. You push and hold function. This is just like pushing Shift, right? Back and forth. Oops, back and forth. In order to get up to layer 2, while holding the function key, you have to toggle up. You tap L2 and it jumps you up. So at this point, right, yes, you are permanently in L2. So yes, I have gotten to the point where I switch up to L2, I go back to type a letter, and it pushes F4 instead.
Right.
And that was a part of the learning curve, a big part of it.
Okay.
What I've personally found is I jump up to L2, push the 1 key, and I'm in a habit of key and then jumping back to L0 with the thumb there.
Right.
So instantly, I only do my 1 function on L2 and then jump back to 1 out of habit now.
Right. Now, can you go back to the other level, which I mean, I guess it's...
What?
Yeah, it's yes, this one.
Oh.
Now, if somebody has to type an array index in a variable, they're going to want... So they'll have to hold the function down with one of their hands.
Yeah.
Now, they want to type open bracket, a number, and then close bracket.
Yeah.
Which means, maybe that index finger or one of the fingers is locked on it on function, and they want to get index 1 or index 0, or if they're typing like any kind of Java function which has no parameters, they're going to hold that and they're saying they're going to have to press with the other hand,
Yeah.
open, okay, so.
Yeah, so it's just like pushing, what is that, Shift C, or Space C, same sort of practice. Like you do have to hold it. So this is something I have on this particular keyboard. Again, this is just one of many layouts of many options. This particular one, there's a lot of thumb holding, which I might actually rethink a little. The cool thing is you can do any layout you want.
Yeah,
So yeah, in order to do what you were saying though, yeah, you hold your thumb down the whole time, and then it's a left pinky, and then a right ring, and then, or if you bracket one closed, right?
Right.
That's left thumb, left pinky, the one with the index finger. So the keypad is very intuitive on the right. So that's no problem if that's what you.
That I don't think is a problem, but you wouldn't want to lose the ability, like if your thumb is on FN, that's fine, you could move your index, but some people just might become used to putting their index finger on FN.
Oh. Well, heck, I don't know. Relearn it, yeah.
You win some, you lose some.
Yeah.
Or you can't, there's no substitute for bad technique.
Yeah.
Right. So that's the only, like page up, page down are also very crucial keys. If
Yeah,
I have
yeah.
them, while I'm editing and I'm viewing, then
Yeah.
it could start to become frustrating. It's not
Yeah.
possible.
Yeah, for sure. So, and was there a third question on? I think I went 1, 2, 3. Was that it? Was there another question here? Okay, I guess.
Just like a.
Well, let's go down the row. 1, 2, 3, real quick.
So the ergo docs, I think you showed that before. That's
Yeah.
the one where instead of kind of toggling between layers like this, you have more of the is that command functions just down at the.
Let me see. The ergodox is this
right,
one.
Right, they're all in the thumbs.
Yeah, the thumbs
And
have a
then you
lot
get
more
to keep the
going on.
numbers, and then everything just doubles once. This was like they don't make this anymore or something like that.
So they do make them in runs. They haven't made a run recently, but
I'm curious as to why like wasn't this like a Kickstarter project?
no, this is one guy I think he's in Vietnam or something like that, and
How
yeah.
come he opted for this like leaner style over that one? Is this like really thought to be?
You'd have to ask him, but I mean, and he's definitely responsive on the mailing list. So his name is Phil. He's a nice guy, yeah, I mean for sure. The theory around this one. So the Atreus specifically here, it's meant to be very portable and customizable and easy to get into. So very simple for this kind of a complex layout. So you don't spend so much time. Doing the complicated hardware, it's very easy to put together, and you can learn it real quick and easy. So that's sort of the theory behind a lot of this, and why the key mappings are the way they are by default, and why there are only 3 layers. You can program, I think, up to 24 layers, 23 layers in the firmware.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, just like comments in the previous conversation.
Yeah.
Think about like there are so many concessions that we make in typing on other keyboards that you kind of don't think about. You just accept them. They're like, oh, I have to do this weird thing to do
Yeah.
this thing. I'd rather have the other problem of customizing it to the way I want to do it. Like I recently got a Poker 3 and I
Yeah.
the layers, and for a couple days I had to train myself how to use the layers. But that, as awkward as that was, or maybe kind of still is a better problem than having that awkwardness like imposed on me by a keyboard that I don't control.
Yeah, absolutely. That's why. I mean, we're with these tools for life. I mean, I plan on using computers for the rest of my life. I want to pick something that, I'm comfortable with and I'll love long term. If I learn a layout, even if I switch to different hardware, I want the same concept. So that was why, back to the concept of designing a system, like you pick the system that works for you long term, and you learn that. And that was my thoughts on it. Was it?
Yeah, how much is something like this going to cost you?
This costs, I believe, so the Atreus here cost like $160 with shipping, 60 something. Relatively cheap. I think the ErgoDocs is like 300, somewhere in there. You can you can make all the parts yourself and just buy it. I think the parts list, just the raw parts, is like $120. I just bought the kit from the guy and he's already put it together, and you can't get it wrong. So, yeah.
I had 2 questions. You kind of answered one of them, but I was.
Yeah, go for it.
So you know how you said there's 3 layers, and one of them you hold, like you press the button to get the layer, and you
Yeah.
Can you kind of reprogram it so that you can, each time you hit
Of course.
all the buttons on the bottom, take
Yes.
it
Absolutely. That's the whole point.
and then
You can do, you can make it do anything you want. You can make it do nothing but print out emojis. Which, maybe I'll do that or something as like a awesome keyboard layout on the fourth layer. It's the emoji layer. I don't know.
is the language that you program it in, is it like C or?
Yeah, it's written in C, I believe. So yeah, you compile it from C down into ARM, I think. It runs an A-star micro chip inside, and that just hardwires up to the. I'll pull it apart, and you can see, check it out inside. It's just a tiny little chip, and the cable is just a regular USB cable, nothing fancy. So, yeah.
Just a comment or maybe suggestion. I have the Happy Hacking keyboard, and I have my layer 3 to be mouse mode. I don't know.
Okay, this is
if
a.
it's capable.
We'll talk. Yeah, I've been so actually, it's a project I'm working on, programming mouse mode for Atreus. Yeah.
So it's really cool when you're pairing with someone and you don't want to like reach over to their trackpad or something. WASD is on layer 3 will literally move the mouse
Yeah.
on the screen. It's pretty wild.
Yeah.
It's ridiculous.
Any plans on introducing like optional slots or something where some of the keys, like for example, the backslash, the enter, are larger because they're just, you want the surface area, you just want to reach over and go bang, just, I don't care.
Yeah, I don't
That
know.
might be something that, you might want to think about, like, there are, okay, so what you, when you market this, the one thing you will have trouble getting away from is people saying, well, I'm so used to the reflexes, forget where,
Yeah.
I have to reprogram the keys, but the reflex is hard to counter, like the caps lock is this way, enter that way. I mean, how can I get it so that I can kind of have,
Yeah.
I can maintain that?
Well, one thing I was thinking is because all the sources available, you can modify it and add onto it in any way you like. So one thing I was thinking is I do kind of miss the outer layer on the pinkies. It might be kind of nice to have an extra layer on the sides. I don't know. It's very flexible. You can get the source for anything. So that's it. And I'll demo the manager and I'll pull that apart and resolder that in a second here. So.